Ladies and gentlemen,
this is the Dental Up Podcast, brought to you by Keating Dental Arts, a full-service, award-winning dental laboratory. Each week, you'll learn tips and techniques from real-world dentists, bringing you in-depth interviews, motivating stories, current events, and sports.
Here is your special host, the Senior Technical Advisor for Keating Dental Arts, Brandon Fetters.
Hi everyone, Brandon here. Welcome to another episode of the Dental Up Podcast. Our guest this week is a nationally recognized financial planner, financial educator, wealth manager, author, speaker, and entrepreneur with a solid 20 years of experience. He has helped business owners and dentists across the country increase and manage the value of their businesses and personal assets. Currently residing in Knoxville, Tennessee, please welcome Justin Goodbread, CFP, CEPA, CVGA. How's it going, Mr. Goodbread?
I'm doing awesome, buddy. Too blessed to be depressed.
All right. So to introduce you to some of our listeners and give them a little bit of background, can you share about your story as to what got you into becoming a financial planner and eventually getting involved with dentistry?
Sure, no problem. So I've been in business. I started my first business when I was 15 years old, and I sold that after my wife and I were married, and moved here from South Georgia on the ocean, God's country, beautiful sand marshes and everything, up into the mountains of East Tennessee. And I was recruited to go in the financial world. I had some money from that business sale, and I was looking at what to do with it. And long story short, found out that I had the ability to take very complex things and make them extremely simple for someone like me, just an old country boy from South Georgia, to understand. Well, as time went by, started and sold 2 additional businesses. So I've sold 3 businesses to date for a profit.
Nice.
Currently own 4 businesses myself right now. About 6 years ago, it might have been longer than that, probably 10 years ago, a dentist called me up and he said, "Hey, brother, I know you. I like you. My business is floundering. I'm producing about $700,000 revenue. I can't get past that point," which is, depending on where you're at in the nation, physically in the nation, it could be high or low depending on that production point. But I'm like, well, look, let me look at it. Came in, I found out this world of dentistry, the business of dentistry is pretty awesome. It's a service-style business that requires an expertise in a particular skill, but business itself is still business. So we just began applying the techniques that I had learned through college, through the School of Hard Knocks. Long story short, now that business is a multi-million-dollar producing business. And one referral led to another referral, led to another referral. Now we speak at dental conferences. Now we have dentists in multiple states around the country, working with dozens of dentists. I like watching dentists buy businesses. I love that part of it. I like watching them sell. I like helping them start them up. Most of all, though, I love watching them drive the value. So I got into dentistry just by helping a buddy out, and here we are now some 15, 16, 17 years later, and we're rocking it, man.
That's awesome. That's very cool. Now on value, you mentioned value there. Are there any tips that you could share with our listeners that would help add value to different stages of their career?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So you have to look at business. You have to separate business. Okay. Most dentists are very precise. I would use the word meticulous. It's typically, if you're looking at a personality profile, it's a high C personality, someone who's extremely detailed in nature. And as such, many dentists are really, really, really good at repairing and making mouths beautiful. I mean, I've seen some crazy things that our clients do. One of the coolest things, I know I'm going to butcher this because I'm not the dentist, but the zygomatic implants are just awesome to watch work and seeing the before and afters. I've seen some of the clients do full mouth reconstructions in literally a day. It's like, dude, you guys are rock stars. But when it comes to the business of dentistry, many dentists don't realize that a business is comprised of roughly 8 different areas. Okay, so I'm going to go slow here, and then feel free to ask me questions on this. But 8 key areas of business. You start off with planning. So right now we're walking all of our clients through strategic planning. We're walking away from our strategic planning meeting, which could be as much as 2, 3, 4 hours of time, with 27 action items that are quantified, that every person in the organization, clinical and clerical, all know exactly who is to do what and what the results of those action items should be. So that's planning. That's the first section of business. So every dentist needs to focus on planning. Then you go into leadership. That's the second area. many dentists are busy with your fingers in people's mouths, and it's very hard to lead when you're in the operatory. So that requires a different metrics of leadership for a dental office than maybe my business or many of my businesses. So knowing how to lead a team is often one of the downfalls of many dentists. So we have to develop a leadership capabilities to get all the team members all focused in the same direction. So that's the second area of business.
Mm-hmm.
The third area is sales, and that's a dirty word for many of us in the professional field, myself included. But truth be told, sales is no more than helping meet a patient, in this case, exactly where they want to be. But knowing how to communicate what the skill set is that you're able to offer and your practice is able to offer to that particular patient. So that's the sales process.
Mm-hmm.
That's directly opposite, by the way, in personality profile of the average dentist. So that's one of the areas that dentists are really, really, really struggle at is sales, but that's the third area. The fourth area is marketing. I've seen dentists that will hire this big name brand marketing firm and just throw money like they're throwing into the wind. And they're like, dude, I just spent $30, $40, $60, $100,000 in marketing. I didn't get jack squat for it. Well, that's because you don't have a formal marketing plan that aligns with your personality persona of your company. Who is that perfect patient? And that's who you should target. So that's the marketing plan. That's the fourth area. And I'll speed up because I know you got a lot of questions. But the fifth area is people. That's how you hire and fire people, how you promote people, how you train people. The sixth area is operations, which is often really good for dentist offices. But that's how, from the time a patient calls the front office to the time the patient writes a check and schedules the follow-up appointment, whether it's for recare or for some sort of a procedure, okay?
Mm-hmm.
The operation is how fast or how efficient can you get that patient from the start to the finish. That's operations. The seventh and eighth area is finance. When should you buy that new piece of equipment, and what's the hurdle rate on that equipment? How much should it return for you to actually make it a good purchase? That's finance. It's not just how much did I make this month.
Yeah.
The last one is risk management, which is legal documents and insurance. Is making sure you have the right protections in place to where if you're going to go out and get a partner, or if you're going to try to sell the company, if you're going to try to grow the company, if you're moving the practice from one location to another, if you're putting some sort of a self-financing process in your practice, all those are risk management styles. So 8 key areas of a practice. And if you can become in your practice a best in class in each of those 8 areas, best in class means you and your team could walk into the Hinman next year, and you could actually lecture all your peers about, hey, here's the hiring process which rocks, and here's why you should follow our hiring process.
Mm-hmm.
That means you've got a best in class practice. So if you can develop best in class practices amongst all 8 of those areas, now you have a business that is sellable for the highest value. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Now, when it comes to new graduates that are entering the field and want to be set off more financially, set ideally for the future to come, is there any tips that you can share with us going from school into the real world?
Yeah, cash is king. It literally is. Whether or not you're going to go into private practice where you work as an associate, whether or not you're going to go out and try, like a lot of our clients have, hey, I want to go start a practice. Mm-hmm. Maybe you want to maybe you have a practice you've identified you want to buy, or maybe you want to work for a DSO. Wherever you want to go, cash is king. And one of the weaknesses that I see so many young professionals who come out of a residency program or a school somewhere is instantly they convert from this, let's be honest, broke resident or broke college kid to all of a sudden I have a DR in front of my name. I'm going to start living this DR lifestyle. One of the things that we teach our clients, which drives their net worth into 7 figures rapidly, is that the first 2, 3, 4, 5 years, depending on your path that you want to take, when you come out of school, save your cash, build your emergency fund, and then invest in yourself. Start your process to where you're investing yourself in advanced education, in long-term retirement accounts, buying a practice, any of those areas before you start ramping up your lifestyle. You can live that doctor lifestyle that you busted at 47, 8, 9, 10 years beyond the structure you've gone to, but you want to make sure you have a solid foundation in your finance before you turn that doctor lifestyle on. And if you do that, we have several clients that are not even 40 years old yet that have more than $1 million liquid cash set up and net worth in the double 7-figure range. It's possible to just rock it out.
That's great. That's great. Now, there's quite a few of our listeners that have already owned practices for years. What would you recommend for them to increase their value of their practice, or maybe even prepare to move forward to reach their final goal?
You got to know where you want to go. So I would like to mention earlier, I've already sold 3 businesses. I've walked dozens, if not hundreds of clients through the sales process over my career. So many people think that we work. We hit this age 60. We hit this age 65 or 70, whatever that age is. And somebody's just going to ride in on a white horse and say, here, I'll give you $1 million, $2 million for this practice, or whatever the number is that a listener may be having their idea. It doesn't work like that. You've got to build the practice to where it's valuable to the purchaser. And so that's the first thing. Number 2 is you've also got to prepare your personal finances. So at that time, whenever that purchaser comes along, that you're also simultaneously prepared to walk away from that practice. So many clients in that final stage of work, I'm going to say, from 50 on, whenever you're wrapping, you see the runway, you're going to land the plane. Okay. Whenever in that final stage, so many people don't realize how much it actually costs to live because we run so much stuff through the business. So I'm going to tell the average person who is just like, dude, I want to get out of this thing in 10 years or so. Sweet. Let's back way up and let's figure out exactly what the quantification is that you need in your personal life to help you reach that goal.
I had also overheard last month that there was a dentist saying that the business of dentistry is not about dentistry. It's about marketing. I know you touched base a little bit on this earlier. Can you share a little bit more thoughts on that?
Yeah. So it's been my experience, and I'm not throwing rocks through glass houses. I know, like I said, hundreds of dentists and worked with hundreds of dentists over the years. It's in my experience that dentists like to talk the things that they're most familiar with, which is dentistry. That's what you went to school for, to fix teeth, make mouths beautiful, help people improve lifestyle.
Yeah. And
that's great. But if you're going to be in business, and most dentists that I work with either want to own a business, they want to sell a business, they want to buy additional businesses. It's not about dentistry. Sure, you want to offer, above par, top notch, top 10 percentile treatment plans. I mean, we've got clients who are fellows with the ADA. These are awesome rock star clients. But as soon as you realize that it's about marketing yourself and marketing your team and marketing your skills and marketing your abilities and marketing your vision, only then will you be able to truly reach the success level that you've anticipated for yourself. The day when you don't invest in your sales ability or your marketing ability, your opposite personality type than what most dentists are, then you're going to probably, more than likely, you're not going to reach your potential. The clients that I have that are rocking it out with $2, $3, $4, $5 million in production per office right now are those individuals who have intently worked on their personal marketing abilities.
And now, for those that don't know, what is a protection and accumulation phase? Why should dentists be caring about this?
So there's 3 phases of life that every human goes through, and dentists are no exception, just like crazy financial people like myself are no exception. Whenever we graduate college, I call it buying the shovel. I remember the first time that I needed to go out and dig a hole. Before I went to school, I just go grab daddy's shovel and go dig a hole. Then I got married and bought my own house, and I didn't have a shovel. I had to go buy a shovel. I had to get stuff that I took for granted the first 20 plus years of my life. So whenever we come out of college, we're in protection phase. We're now buying and dealing with those things that we've never had to deal with before. We're dealing with legal documents like wills and trusts. We have kids. We deal with health insurance. Oh, God help us. Health insurance. All these things that our parents took care of us for the first 20 years. So that's the protection phase. Now, protection phase can last 3, 4, 5 years for some people. It can last 10, 15 years for some people. But there comes a point whenever you kind of got it. You kind of got this adulting game down. And now it's like, all right, I've now have some extra income, or I now need to do something that I'm going to drastically set my life up for. That's accumulation phase. I'd say most people enter accumulation phase in the 30s, if not by 40 years of age. And then they're going to spend the next 10, 15, 20 years busting it. I mean, just charging hell with a water pistol, trying to get to where they want to be in their personal lives. So that's oftentimes when I'll see people go out and buy rental property. We help people buy rental property. That's when I see people trying to figure out how to buy a second practice or buy their first practice or bring on an associate or 2 or 3. Try to create their own DSOs. Whatever their goal is, that's the accumulation phase. And finally, as you mentioned in the last question, whenever people feel like they have enough and they quantify that, now we stop accumulating and then we start distributing. We start living off of our assets that we've accumulated for that 15, 20, 30, 40-year period of time. So the 3 phases of life, everybody should know about them. Maybe if you're in the protection planning phase, you're just trying to get the basic stuff out of the way, great. It's going to come really fast. We're going to have to start accumulating some assets. The sooner you can get in that accumulation phase, the greater your long-term success will be.
Awesome. That's great. Now I see also that you had written a book that landed #1 on Amazon, and it's titled The Ultimate Sale. Can you share a little bit about that with us?
Sure. Yeah, it did. For some reason, I don't know why. I don't know why somebody want to read on South Georgia redneck like me. But what I've experienced in my life, I'm 41 years of age, 4 companies that I currently operate, top planner on many different areas, featured on many different national publications. It's fun to watch this business world that I've lived in. Mm-hmm. What I've watched is that most business owners don't realize that typically 80% of their net worth, and dentists are no exception by any means, most of our net worth is our business. And the sad part about it is, if you got a practice that's paid for, you've already paid off the debt, now you're producing $1 million, $1.5 million a year, and you're sitting here saying, dude, I got a business that's worth $1 million. So do the other 95% of baby boomers out there who are dentists. So we're sitting here looking at this flow of business owners nationally across all different business models that are going to try to go to market and sell these businesses. But because of the sheer amount of businesses that are going for sale, the next generation, the buying generation, can now be picky with which practice in the dentistry world they want to buy. And they're only going to buy the best of the best.
Yeah.
So I saw this area and I'm like, I'm tired of my fellow business brethren out there working and busting and putting blood, sweat, and tears into their lives, only to realize that now they can't sell the business. In fact, only 3% of businesses actually sell what the business owner thinks they're worth. Only 3%. So if you got 80% of your business net worth, your net worth tied up in your business, and only 3% of businesses actually sell for what the owner thinks they're worth, that means we got a lot of entrepreneurs out there who are going to be broke in retirement. Mm-hmm. So I wrote the book called The Ultimate Sale. It's available on Amazon, on Kindle. Like I said, it was a bestseller on Amazon. And what it does is it walks you through the process of looking at your business today. If you're in that 30, 40 years range, you're perfect for this, to buy this book. To look at your business and say, what do I have to do today to prepare my practice so that it can receive top dollar whenever I'm ready to exit this thing, like most of our clients at age 50 and 60. We got clients that are going to retire at age 40 now. But you can build your practice where it is sellable and you're not becoming a statistic. So I wrote that book to try to encourage business owners that, look, you don't have to bust it for 15, 16, 20, 30, 40 years only to be broke like some of the business owners today do. You can design an exit that drives your net worth through the roof.
That's right. That's great. No, I'm going to have to pick that up and give it a read. I'm right about that age.
That's sweet.
Where can our listeners go to find out more information about your services?
So I would direct everybody to financiallysimple.com. That's the area that I typically do most of my work in. It's a blog. It's free of charge. You're welcome to go look at it. We have a podcast called Financially Simple. It has over 200 plus episodes dealing with everything from business to personal finances. Actually, right now, I'm going through a series of answering listener questions and dissecting them, almost like you guys would do through a CT machine, just dissecting them out. We're doing it with the questions. On Financially Simple, you can there's courses we have, the same strategic planning that we're doing for our clients that pay us $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. You can actually buy the online course for a couple $100 there. I think it's like $300, $400, $500. I don't even know anymore what the guys put it at. So there's courses there, there's books, there's a lot of content. We've actually got this whole page just for dentists, financiallysimple.com/dentist. And we've got all the articles that are directly attributed to the dental group. We also work with optometrists in our firm and other entrepreneur doctors. But, you dentists, man, y'all have such a sweet gig. You got a business that you can sell, and you got a business that provides you unbelievable income if you know how to grow it properly. There's no reason why you can't have margins at 30, 40% in a dental practice. No reason. There's no reason why the average dentist can't produce more than 7 figures. No reason. Personal opinion. So I would send everybody over to financiallysimple.com or check us out on the podcast, Financially Simple, on Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, and any other places.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, I'll make sure and have all that information in our show notes. Well, Mr. Goodbread, it's been an absolute honor having you here with us on the podcast. Is there any final thoughts or advice you'd like to share with our listeners?
So Cortez, if you go back in history and read his name, he came upon a civilization. He made a statement. He told his crew to burn the boats. Burn the boats.
Mm-hmm.
No matter where you're at this in your practice, no matter where you're at in life, the only way you're going to accomplish your hopes and your dreams is to get rid of the excuses, burn every excuse you have, and charge hell with a water pistol. Cortez burned the boats. If you've never looked at it, I challenge you to look at it. My advice to every seasoned dentist is to identify your clear objectives and don't let anything stand between your way. You can accomplish it, and I hope you do.
Well, that's great. Really appreciate that. That's wonderful advice. Well, again, thank you so much for being on the podcast with us. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, Brandon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for joining us on the Dental Up Podcast Show this week. Make sure to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter, or search the Dental Up Podcast on iTunes for our weekly feed. Don't forget to visit KeatingDentalArts.com/promo for exclusive offers. Keating Dental Arts is a full-service dental laboratory, and we're nationwide. We'd love for you to send us a case so we can show you the Keating difference. If you dig what you heard, please leave a review on iTunes, and we'll be back next week.